I'll start. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans, and everyone else that's tuning in tonight. Welcome to another edition of the Overtime Podcast with Sparksy and Jared on this Wednesday, June 10th of 2020. And Jared, how's it going tonight, brother?
Pretty good. Nice to see the storms roll through, but we're rolling along here on the podcast.
Absolutely. Tell us about who we have on board with us tonight, Jared.
Head coach Abram Kaple, Buckeye Central girls basketball, and he's had a couple outstanding seasons here in his first couple of seasons. So welcome aboard, Coach Kaple.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
And just getting out of practice, so we got you in the car right now. But
yeah, I'm not driving, though.
Hey, if you can multitask, that's the best. But stay safe, I guess. So we'll stay not driving. But good to have you on here, Coach. And what's it been like here? The first couple of weeks here of actually team get-togethers. I know some things are different since all this COVID started, but things are different for you as far as coaching. And how are you adapting to that and the changes that have to be made right now here for the first couple of weeks?
Well, it's definitely different. Right now we're limited to 10 people total in the gym, and that includes coaches. So we've been working on just a lot of fundamental stuff, a lot of ball handling, a lot of dynamic finishes, and just, some stationary shooting. We have one of the shoot-away guns. So basically it's a lot of station work. It's a lot of fundamental work. And we were just talking after practice today. It's actually – because usually in the summer you just go right into playing games, and you kind of skip out on some of the fundamentals. So this has been good in a different way. And our kids are super excited to be back in the gym, not just for basketball, but I think out of like boredom, no spring sports, and you haven't really done anything since mid-March. Like, we have really good energy, and it's good to have everybody back. The kids are excited to be around their friends and, just kind of being active again. So it's been challenging, but it's been kind of a breath of fresh air as well.
Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. It's unique in some regards that you're getting to coach at the same high school that you graduated from, played at. You're a 2009 graduate of Buckeye Central High School, played 2 years of varsity basketball under Coach Phil Loy. And, your senior team, you finished at 12-9, and we were talking off camera when we got ready for this, lost at a buzzer beater by Lucas, a team that you'd beat in the previous regular season twice, and they got you at the buzzer. But you go on to coach some junior high boys and have done some AAU coaching with the North Coast Showtime for 5 years. And then Greg Moore, the previous head coach for the girls at Buckeye Central, had such a great career and ended up taking the girls to the state semifinals before falling to Ottoville. And you take over, and as Jared mentioned, in 2 seasons, you end up winning 81% of your games. You're 43-10 and make 2 regional appearances and lose both to Cornerstone Christian. How's that make you feel as a very young coach at your alma mater to do what you've done in 2 years, where some coaches in their whole careers would never get to do what you've done?
I guess, well, I mean, and there was no pause. That just kind of makes you think. Like, when you say it like that, it's a really humbling experience. And, sometimes I guess I've taken it for granted because of, the 2 seasons that I've had. We've ended up in the same place. But, Greg, and I've said this before in different interviews, like, Greg left a lot in the cupboard, and he teed it up nicely for me. And thankfully that, the girls respected me and bought into, my staff and my philosophy of how I'm doing things. And, we kind of didn't really break stride from where Greg left it and what we've done the last 2 years. It's been awesome. It's been fun, obviously, coaching in New Washington and being part of this small community with the tradition, not only in girls sports, but the majority of our sports. And it gives a lot of people something to look forward to. So it's been fun for me. Being a coach is something that I've always wanted to do, especially, obviously a basketball coach. It's been exciting for me and my family. My brothers and both my parents and it's been really cool to get the support of, my friends and family in that aspect as well.
So, Coach, you're not at the school full time. You work in a different field, but how does that compare to being in a school as a teacher? You're not there all the time, so does that present any challenges that you face throughout the school year?
Working a full-time job and coaching, which is definitely a full-time job. The 5 months of basketball, five and some changes, is really stressful, and my plate is extremely full during that time. But in terms of not being around the kids, I actually use it, I guess, as a positive, to where, maybe they would get sick and tired of seeing me if I was in every single classroom and they saw me all day, every day, versus, hey, they just get a 2-hour dose of me. So maybe it keeps it fresh. And I have my varsity assistant is in the school. So if there's any issues, which we don't have any, I would be in contact there. But I try to spin it in a positive light and use it to my advantage, to where, hey, they don't get burnt out of me, I guess.
When you think about the schools in our area, especially in the Northern 10 Conference, for the most part, pretty small schools, but really tight-knit communities. And especially when you look at Buckeye Central girls athletics, the volleyball program speaks for itself, and what the basketball program has done over the last number of years. What is it about the New Washington community and the Buckeye Central community, if you will, that girls sports has just done so well? And it's like you said, the cupboard is never bare. It just keeps reloading. Why is that, do you believe?
I think it's, a lot of the success that, and these are just stories that I've heard, is like in the 80s. And, a lot of those teams, I'm coaching their kids. So like, Lisa Markham and Shelley Loy and Denise Mann and Missy McDougal, a lot of those played on those teams, and those families never left. So there's almost like the expectation and, to carry on the tradition, not only as a school, but like for these families from an individual standpoint, it's kind of built in them. And, that's, you can say that about volleyball and basketball, especially, but I think a lot of people go to college and then they kind of end up back in this community. And I think that's kind of a lot of it that carries on is this, it's a very frequent of the same last names and stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess that's what I would contribute it to. I don't know. I guess that's kind of that's a really good question.
So you've been getting around with your team here the past couple of weeks, but before that, you guys started a challenge for 35,000 shots made within 13 days. You guys made it, and facing other teams. And how did you stay in contact with your team to make sure that goal was reached? And, I think beating out the other schools that you were facing, right?
Yeah, so it actually kind of started, ironically enough, with Cornerstone Christian. And Coach Lisa Stopp had reached out, and they were doing a three-point competition about a month ago about how many threes can be made in a week. And we went up against them and Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, because everybody's trying to be creative in terms of what to do and try to keep that competitive edge. So, and obviously, the team that's knocked us out the last 2 years, there's a lot of motivation there that kind of speaks for itself. So we went up against them, and they beat us by like 400 and some threes. So we wanted to keep it going. We thought we had a good turnout, and we had kids getting up shots. So we challenged Edison, and I tell the girls that, hey, we're 3,000 shots behind or whatever it is, and we end up making almost 40,000 in a period of 10 days. And like that's not 40,000 attempts, that's 40,000 makes. And our rule going into it was like, hey, you get 10 layup makes for the day, right? You get your 10 mic and drill, but then everything else has got to be a jump shot, because you can sit there and do however many layups you want, but you're not getting any better. So, I mean, you think about that, at 40,000, even if you're on fire and you're shooting 50%, that's still 80,000 attempts. So that's huge. And what it kind of correlates to is what we have it's called the Gym Rat Club, and it was actually stolen from Coach Kokendorfer at Margaretta Girls. So I'm not going to take credit for it. Coach K and I are good friends, but our goal is over the course of the summer is you got to make 20,000 makes. You got to have 10 hours worth of ball handling, 10 hours worth of one-on-one, and 150 push-ups per week. And I have 3 girls on my team that are already over 25,000 makes since April 10th. So that's, I mean, you're at 2 months and you're at 25,000 makes. Just the buy-in and what we have going right now is it's awesome to see how much these guys are putting into it.
We're visiting with the head girls basketball coach at Buckeye Central, Coach Abram Kaple. And Coach, I mentioned a little bit about last year. You go 21-6 overall, 14-2 in the Northern 10 Conference, good for second place, and lost to Cornerstone Christian in the regional final. And when that game was over, you had to say goodbye to 2 really key seniors on your program, Allie Green and Lexi Evac. And talk a little bit about kind of what you told them and how important they were, not only to last year, but going forwards, kind of setting the tone for this year's senior class and underclassmen coming up.
Well, they've kind of set the bar in terms of 4 straight district championships in 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's a handful of people that can say that. Boys, girls, it doesn't matter. To go win 4 straight district championships and never lost, like that just it sets the bar, it sets the expectation. You know, for Lexi with 2 younger siblings, I think is big. For Allie to have 2 older sisters and a mom that was really good, she carried on that. And it's just kind of for the underclassmen to be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. I want to be a part of that. And we had some girls that were underclassmen and played a huge role in that. And there were some that were underclassmen and they dressed. And to watch that and know that their time is now to be on the floor and to be, you know, that girl. It just motivates you. I mean, I remember I can relate myself as a player. And when I was a sophomore, Tyler Crime, when we won districts and I was a peer, but like I wanted to be him and I wanted to carry on what he did. So I think, you know, that's got to be what they're feeling now, to be like, hey, it's my turn. I'm going to, you know, carry on this legacy and keep building on the tradition that has been set.
Yeah, speaking of Lexi and Allie and carrying on that tradition, you have a ton returning here this year. I mean, Claudia Pfeiffer's just a junior. You have Kendra Ackerman, Taylor Ratliff, and Kylie Brown is coming back off an injury. And explain where she's at in the process and how that injury, I know towards the end of last year, obviously she was getting better and moving towards possibly playing this season. How's that so far?
So Kylie is back and she's cleared to do everything. It's been awesome to have her back, and you know, she could tell that she hasn't done you know, really anything. She wasn't allowed to do anything for 6 months, but like, you know, when
some things, she was always on the sideline in practice, like working on ball handling and doing some of the skill stuff that she was able to do. And it's going to be awesome to get her back because, I mean, Kylie's one of the most athletic girls in the school. I mean, I'm confident to say she's one of the most athletic girls in the conference. And, you know, for her to go down, a 2-year starter coming into her junior year, and then to, you know, do what we did without her, and all of a sudden you add her back into the equation, it's really exciting. And, you know, I don't know, I'm pumped about it.
Talk a little bit, Jared had mentioned some of those seniors coming back, Kendra and Taylor and Kylie, also Lauren Jensen, but of course we know what Claudia is capable of doing. Lexi's younger sister, Julia, is back, as well as Lauren Mann, Megan Rhodes, and then sophomores, Sydney Worm, and most specifically, Riley Cancer. Played a lot as a freshman, got great experience. Talk about how important that's going to be for her coming back for her second year with more experience than freshmen usually receive.
Yeah, so, you know, talking about Kylie's injury kind of forced a little bit of a roster manipulation, if you will, with, you know, Riley was, you know, I don't know where Riley was going to play had Kylie been healthy. And then all of a sudden, Kylie's out and we insert, Riley and Kendra into that role, and Riley ends up starting, 26 out of the 27 games as a freshman. Kind of really bought in, got a taste of it. And you could tell she's going to play AAU this spring, and obviously not have a chance yet to do that. But, she's been working with some of our upperclassmen. I know she works out daily with Taylor, and even just in 2 or 3 months, you can see the confidence and the work that she has put in. And I have really high hopes for Riley, and she's going to be a special player. But it's not just, I have that sophomore class that I have. I mean, they're workhorses, and Sydney Worm and Paige Colleen and, Jay Spalding and Allie Close, like they put in a ton of time. Now, Riley's going to benefit from the experience that she had, and, her role is definitely going to change next year. But we're really excited with those underclassmen, and I can't be more proud of the upperclassmen that I have, taking them under their wing and, working out with them. That's how you get better. You know what I mean? By, playing one-on-one versus somebody that's better than you, or working out with somebody who's already experienced to challenge yourself. That's how you get better. And so, no, we're excited for that class, and, we expect big things out of Riley the next 3 years.
So the N10 is obviously a pretty competitive girls league as far as basketball is concerned. And obviously Seneca East has played you guys tough the past couple of years. Carey's played late in the year last year. They played well. And 9 out of the top 10 scorers in the league all returned. So what is your outlook here for the N10 in 2020 and 2021?
Yeah, last year's junior class. So the class of 2021 is pretty deep in girls basketball. So if you looked across the N10 teams, it was predominantly juniors. Obviously Seneca East returns Jessica Bowerman, Crawford with Teglovic. Carey returns, Sadie Arend, Brianna Outcap from Ridgedale. Like the junior class is just loaded. But we like that because it gets you ready for the tournament. We felt going into the tournament that we were as prepared as anybody last year with our non-conference schedule in Crestview, Willard, Cardington, Shelby. That's Seneca East. We played 5 conference champions, and then, to go night in and night out in the N10, there's really no nights off. So, I hope with the work that we put in over the summer, we'll be in the conversation for the league, and we have been the last 2 years. We just haven't been able to close it out. We let, I guess, 2 of them kind of slip away and to a really good Seneca East team 2 years in a row. But, we just hope right now we're focused on what we can do now, building fundamentally and kind of hopefully get some cohesiveness in July. And then, we'll see where things kind of fall when it comes to the wintertime. But, we're just going to work on ourselves now and continue to work hard and hopefully put ourselves in position to compete.
Kind of dovetail off of that, Coach, looking ahead and hopefully we'll have a fall sports season, but certainly we'll look ahead to the winter sports season. You're going to open the season again with Willard, a team that you played tough to open the season last year before falling to them. And then you have to go back-to-back with your natural rivals in Colonel Crawford and Winford. And then you also you're going to play Crestview, which is always a very physical ball club. You're going to play Plymouth. And as you mentioned, Natalie Lance and the Shelby Lady Whippets are on the schedule. I trust the girls in the program welcome that tough competition rather than shying away from it. Is that a true statement?
No, absolutely. Because, obviously our first and foremost goal is to win the league. But we understand that, kind of our motto is, we want to be the last team standing in the league, and we want to be in a position to make a tournament run every year and have that community support. And that's kind of, that's when things really get fun. And they understand that you have to play those teams during the regular season if you want to get better. And Willard and Shelby and Aston Crestview, like you said, are elite programs. And our mentality is we're not going to shy away from that. I know as a coach that I'm not going to shy away from that. And that's kind of, the personality and the culture and the mindset that I want to I guess, pass down and reflect on to our kids, and hopefully they pick up on that as well. And we love it. That's where we want to be. Win or lose, we know that going into those games, we're going to get better because of it, and it's going to help us in the long run. And that's how you got to approach it.
So speaking of tough competition, 2 years in a row, you've faced off against Cornerstone Christian. Obviously, you said you had that little 3-point competition with them. And is there specific things you think you can work on, and not specifically just against them, but what are some of the specific things that you can work on as a coach to better prepare yourselves when you get back in that situation again and read?
There's a lot of things I could work on as a coach. Losing to Cornerstone 2 years in a row is obviously disappointing, but like I said, I've had conversation with Lisa Stopp at Cornerstone, and I have a ton of respect for her. And, just kind of looking back through that game film and trying to do the best that we can to simulate some of that pressure that you get when you get to that level. And that's the thing I think is the biggest change is those teams can flat out get up and guard you at all 5 positions. And there's times where that's tough to simulate in practice. So working on drills, and kind of physical and mental toughness as to how to handle that and embrace it are things that I can work on, and, basically present challenges in practice that make those game situations look routine, or, hey, we've been here, we've practiced this, we've experienced this in one way or another. And I think if I'm able to do that, hopefully it would better translate, in those regional final games against, again, the best of the best when you're playing Cornerstone and McDonald and Dalton and those teams that are up there. Ottoville, you mentioned earlier. That's what it takes to beat them. And we're blessed that we've been able to get to that point. But at the same time, we're not satisfied, and you don't want to be satisfied. You want to continue to make that next step, and you don't want to play Cornerstone. And you want to you want to beat Cornerstone. So as happy as we are with the success we have had, we're still hungry, and we're not satisfied with the results that kind of finished the season off.
Again, we've been visiting with head girls basketball coach at Buckeye Central, Abram Kaple. And Abram, our time's about up, and your daylight's just about out there. So good thing the car light's working. Let's finish up with a little rapid fire. How's that sound?
All right, I'm all for it.
Okay. Other than your own gym, what's your favorite gym to coach in?
Favorite gym to coach in? Probably at Winford. Probably at Winford or at Crawford. Either one of those are fun.
What was the second one? I didn't hear you.
At Colonel Crawford.
Oh, Colonel Crawford. Okay. All right.
Yeah, both of those are fun. And, the environment's fun, and the gyms are cool. And
it's gonna be. Will it be different at Winford with their new gym this year? Do you think that?
I kind of forgot about that. So yeah, that's probably going to give the edge to Crawford there moving forward. I would anticipate it being different.
I guess going off of that, your favorite coach to coach against?
My favorite coach to coach against? I like coaching against Amy Taylor Sheldon, honestly, because, like, her teams are super prepared, and, like, I know that they know what we're going to do. Like, they're calling out our sets and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of fun to kind of, like, rename stuff or try to – you really got to get into a chess match when you're coaching against people that really do their homework. So I like coaching against Coach Amy.
Who's the toughest player you've had to coach against?
Obviously you got to tip your hat to Jess Bowerman. The Clunan sisters from Cornerstone Christian I'm glad that they graduated. We'll put it that way. They're tough, and they're super, super nice kids, and highly, super respectful, but they're tough. They are so tough to guard and to score against. So yeah, I'm glad that they're graduating, and not gonna have a problem not seeing them next year.
So we'll take a little bit more of the pressure off here. Your favorite restaurant to eat at?
Favorite restaurant? Probably I'm a frequent visitor to B-Dubs or El Campesina in Willard. I'm a huge fan of Mexican food, so if you can't find me in the gym, I'm probably at one of those two places.
What's your go-to at B-Dubs? I got to ask that.
Man, jam and jalapeno, boneless wings, or some Asian zing. Either one of those. And when I say at the gym, I'm not talking Anytime Fitness. I'm talking, I don't do that. I'm at the high school telling somebody else what to do.
I got you. So what is Coach Abram Kaple binge watching on Netflix right now?
Me and my girlfriend just are finishing up Bates Motel, and we started the Jeffrey Epstein thing on Netflix. So both of those two.
All right, and here's a tough one for you. What would be your TikTok advice?
Practice the dance before you go live on camera. That's going to get spread nationwide or whatever it was. Because I usually get like, hey, Coach Kaple, you want to do this TikTok? And there's always like, okay, well, if you do this, like win a district championship, I'll do it. And then like you have no idea what that dance is going to look like. And they're like, are you ready to go? And I'm like, yeah. And it looked like I'm lagging the whole time. So, yeah, that'd be my advice if any other coaches are going to participate in that. But, yeah, it was fun. And I don't know if you guys know this. On Instagram, we were on Max Prep's Instagram page. And it was like 3 different videos. And it was like another school, it was us, and then the third video was Bronny James. So, like, I could say that I was in the same Instagram post as Bronny James. So, you know, he follows me now on Instagram, so, you know, we're kind of close, I guess.
Well, I certainly don't have any dance moves, but I would suggest you stick to coaching because you've been far more successful there. Your girls have much better moves than you do, but maybe they can keep practicing with you and they can get better. So,
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, come winter, I'll be ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Mike, I think we're going to get you on TikTok this year too.
Oh, my gosh.
Anytime you're interviewing the Buckeye Central girls, Coach, get him on TikTok. I think he'll be good to go.
Only if Davy Jones joins me.
There you go. That go viral.
That would be the way. So, well, Coach, we need to wrap up here. It's getting late, but we want to really thank you for being on with us tonight. Congratulations on the success of your first 2 years as a coach, and I know you're looking forward to late October, November coming around and getting ready to play. And I think you're doing great things there with the group, with the program, and we just wish you much success in the Northern 10 Conference moving forward, and hopefully you get another shot at Cornerstone, and maybe this time it'll take you a trip to Dayton, or is it? No, it's still going to be in Columbus. I'm thinking of the volleyball. The Columbus girls or basketball that did go to Dayton, didn't it?
It did go to Dayton.
Yeah, well, maybe because it's in Dayton now, you can make a trip down to Dayton this next year.
We sure hope so. It's been a ton of fun, and the girls are awesome to work with, and you know the relationships that you build, and not only you know on the basketball floor, but where you're able to, you know, be an outlet for them in terms of life advice and stuff like that. You know, the basketball part is obviously phenomenal, but the relationships that you build for the long term is really a special part of it too. So I've been blessed to be given the opportunity. I've been blessed for you guys to have me on this, and you know, definitely looking forward to next season as well.
Very good. Jared, anything else to wrap up tonight?
Yeah, thanks, Coach Kaple, for joining us. You've always been gracious with your time towards us in the media, so we appreciate that, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
I need to remind you that the comments and views expressed in this podcast series are those of Mike Sparks, Jared Moore, and our guests, and the podcast is not associated in any way with WBCO and WQEL Radio. That'll put a wrap to this episode of the Overtime Podcast with Sparksy and Jared. We'll be coming at you on social media, both Twitter and Facebook, with updates on our next guest. Until then, Jared, we'll see you when we see you, right?
Yeah, hopefully next week should have a couple coming your way. So
that sounds good. I'll finish up as I always do and remind you, a spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. Have a good night, everybody.